You're listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast, Cryptid Sports Entertainers for Life.
Hey everybody, Robert Jesse Dominguez, Bigfoot Club, episode 6. No, season 6, episode 16.
There you go. Jesus, sounds like he's going to mess it up now. He did it.
Yeah, so how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm just tired.
Yeah?
I'm doing a lot of walking today.
Yeah, we did do a lot of walking today.
In a hot-ass mall.
Today I am super stoked because I've been trying to get this one person on our show for a long time. And
Did she finally respond to you? When's she coming over?
Oh, yeah. She's already here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the club, Caitlin. Is it okay if I say your whole name?
Yeah, I don't care.
Caitlin Gonzales.
Word.
So we used to work together, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, but you're probably like one of the best coworkers I've ever had. So.
Look, I believe you.
So we had so much fun.
We really did.
And I'm not going to say the company because I don't want to give them that.
No free promo.
Okay, I'll do it.
So yeah, we had an office, just you and I, and before it was with like another person. I'm not going to say this other person because I don't want to give him praise soon.
No free promo.
No. So we had an office, and we would talk all the time. We would do service tickets, and sometimes we had to leave the office, go do stuff. But like most of the time, we would be in the office talking, and we would just talk about a wide range of things.
Everything.
So.
About work and stuff.
Yeah.
Never off topic or off subject. All about work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We were so locked in.
We had to hammer in our KPIs.
Yeah.
And our
had to get ready for your one-on-ones.
Yeah, one-on-ones and stuff. So.
Like that was the party office, man.
Was
the decorations, the music,
and it was funny because we had two big monitors in there, and we could see the whole campus, and we could see like New York and Connecticut and other places, so we would know what stuff was going on before it actually went on.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, who's the one that sat across from you?
Across from me?
Yeah,
Caitlin.
Was it Caitlin?
Yeah.
Okay, I sat at your desk and I was like, oh, she likes. I think there's like the office stuff there. Or there was something that was office related or office. I don't know what it was. I just know it threw me off because you said, "Hey, have this peanut butter granola bar. It's really good." And it tastes like cardboard.
Yeah,
and I was like,
our healthy peanut butter.
This is terrible, Robert. What do you mean this is your favorite? I'm sad here.
Oh, he's talking about the vending, the health stuff.
Yeah,
it was free.
It
was free, and but I was eating. I go, oh my god!
And I'm like, man, free's supposed to taste good, and it just made me sad. Actually.
Yeah.
It was like a memory of peanut butter.
Yeah, like a hint of a hint of peanut butter.
A hint and a car with peanut butter that drove by.
A little skosh of it, yeah.
So. I feel bad you sat at my desk. That thing was cluttered. I'm a stuffing things type of person.
No, it wasn't that bad. Like, I mean, I'm a cluttery person myself, so it was my kind of...
Look, I love to hear it.
Yeah.
And Robert and I's favorite thing to do would be hoping that somebody would run into the glass doors so that we could go back and play it back.
Yeah.
You know...
they're always like top executives too.
It did happen, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I almost did though from my interview there.
Oh yeah. Did I ever tell you that he had an interview there?
No.
Yeah, I had an interview there, and I was pretty much hired, but it was just very low pay.
Yeah.
And I should have just went with it. I'm pretty sure I would have.
No, you dodged a bullet.
He got interviewed by the big lady in the call center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know. I know.
So they knew he was my nephew, right?
Yeah, that's why I felt off because I didn't feel challenged in the interview. It was just like a shoe-in. And they were all like, I looked at your resume here. So when can you start? I go, what?
Yeah, it's funny because that was my exact experience. So
like,
the lady that interviewed you, she was my first boss.
Oh.
And she knew my sister-in-law who worked for this company as well. And so like I drove in and I was all of 20. It was my first big interview. I walked in super scared. I was sweaty. And we talked for about traffic for 15 minutes. And then she was like, okay, when can you start? And I was like, whoa. All right, sure.
I think she's a good judge of character.
Oh, absolutely. Well, okay. She did have some favorites that were problematic.
Yeah.
She liked you, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
for sure.
Because she was all like, I looked at your resume. You're Robert's son. I go nephew. Okay, so when can you start?
Yeah.
Just those two things, and I was like, I can start soon. And I mean, I was so confused. I was like, I just really want to leave Dart.
Almost everybody loved Robert, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that tracks.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I made it like I felt like she was our number one customer.
Oh, for
and
sure.
So every morning I would go to her office and I go, "What do you need? Are you okay? Do you need anything?"
I need more peanut butter granola.
Real peanut butter. Get the Jif in
Yeah,
here.
get that, please. For the
So yeah, I think it was just one of those things. That was just my expectation. I just went to everybody and I'd ask them, "What do you need?" You know,
So-
that way I had good relations.
Like Dish, I felt challenged. Like they were asking me questions. Like Sylvia was asking me, like, you're coming from sales at GameStop, and what can you do?
Yeah.
What have you learned there that you can bring here? And I was like, oh, okay.
She was
All
a,
right.
she was a scary one. Though.
Yeah, she was. And then Jimmy was second interview. Jimmy was all like, yeah, we really love Robert, so let me show you around. I was like,
Sylvia was this lady that she had these bones on her desk, like chicken bones.
Oh, so she did like scrying?
And she would just throw them out.
Yeah.
and
Let's
she
consult the bones.
she had a Ouija board mouse pad.
I love that.
And then there was like a satanic like goat head on top of her mom. No, I'm just kidding. There was
See, everything you were saying. I was like, I love her.
she was just
She was nice to me, but she just kind of
she really like she gave me a full on like interview.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I respected that. But whenever when Jimmy left, or not Jimmy, James Skinner, left, and I got pushed onto her, I go, damn it.
But you were good.
I was good. Yeah, I mean, it was.
I'll say
solid
this.
job.
I'll say this, Caitlin, because like it was a call center, and I was in charge of the facility stuff, and so we had a break room that only like top notch people that had like they passed everything. They didn't have any kind of like negative reviews. Could go into this one like once a month. They would go and badge in. And there was snacks. There was drinks. There's hot coffee. There's hot tea. There was like a lounge.
Pastries, like fresh pastries and stuff.
So I was in charge. I would stock that out in the morning. And Steven was a part of dispatch, and I was a part of his call center. And so I talked to my boss. I said, "Hey, it's okay if I give Steven access to everything?" He goes, "Yeah, he's family. Give him access to everything."
Jim, love you, Jim.
And so Steven would go there and just get drinks. Just like he'd go badge over there and just get like some sodas and walk out.
Yeah. And I would go in there, and then Brandon's like, "Man, hey, can you give me a Coke or something?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll get you. Got you." That was a good little.
I know
That was the best 10 months of my life.
It was a good side hustle.
Yeah,
We
it
love
was.
snack nepotism.
Yeah, big time.
Big time.
But I think during our time when we would talk, we'd always go back to paranormal. And I know just from talking to you, you have an extensive amount of paranormal experiences or occasions. I don't know how you want to word it. Or
I think occasions is good.
yeah,
Sounds festive.
it does. It does. Like it's like some kind of dinner party. or
I
something.
wonder if the other side of the paranormal knew that. Like, well, it's time. Let's go see Caitlin. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it was like, oh man, it's about time.
Yeah.
Let's go
I'm
mess with this
excited.
kid again.
So
yeah.
you had a lot of stuff happen to you in the city of Grand Prairie, right?
Yeah. Also,
And-
Grand Prairie, Arlington.
Arlington,
thereabouts,
yeah. So, do you want us? I don't know if you want to talk about like the very first kind of incident you had, like the earliest kind of event, or maybe
Okay.
whatever you want to talk about is whatever.
Well, so I guess the question is are you specifically referencing like ghostly activity? Because my very first, like anything that I would say would be quote unquote supernatural was actually when I was 4. And I don't know if anybody would actually consider this to be impressive at all, but I had a dream at 4 years old about my parents divorcing, which they did 2 years later.
Wow.
And I was having this discussion with my friends yesterday, actually, about dreams and whether or not we thought dreams were in any way able to be affected by, outside sources, like not like psychological sources, but like influence from other things or places or beings or that sort of thing. And like everybody says that, oh, I had a dream about this when it comes to deja vu.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, when I was 4, and I was always like scared of the dark, you know, as a little kid, right? I just wasn't into it. But I did have my own room, and I slept upstairs.
At 4?
At 4, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I remember,
sure you're 4?
I remember very vividly having this dream where it was me, my mom, and my dad, right? And at this time, like, everything's hunky-dory, right? Like, I'm having a great time living my little life, you know?
Yeah.
You know, waking up, watching Barbie movies, and that was it, right? Yeah. No worries at all. I had a dream that me, my mom, and my dad were walking together in the Grand Canyon. And I distinctly remember, and I'm 4, right? So like, what the fuck even is the Grand Canyon? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I was there, you know, we were chilling. And I'm standing on the edge, and my parents are on either side, and suddenly there's an earthquake, and giant pillars split off from the wall that we're standing on, and both of my parents end up on these pillars being pulled away from me out in front of this, like, cliff.
Right.
And very distinctly, I remember a voice saying that I would have to pick one of them, and like that would be it. And I woke up scream crying, and it was terrifying to me. It was the first time I had ever considered like having to only be with one of my parents. And I slept in my parents' room from then on. I had a little race car bed at the foot of their bed. And I just kept telling them, I was like, you know, y'all are going to not be together. Like, I'm going to have to pick one of you. And they were like, it was just a dream. It's nothing or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, okay. But, like, I was just like, with absolute certainty, I was like, my parents are not going to be together anymore. And I knew it at 4. And then 2 years later, at 6, my parents ended up splitting up.
That is such a symbolic dream.
And at 4.
At 4.
Yeah. And then...
and have it so like it impacted you, so like it terrified you.
Oh yeah. I slept.
I can assure you, at 4 years old, I had dreams about like monsters, stuff like that. But that's like such a grown up nightmare.
I can't remember anything else I'd ever dreamed about that young. Like, I ended up having some recurring dreams as I got older, ones that really stuck with me. But up until that point, like I guess like that's when people say like you quote unquote gained consciousness, you know, as a kid. But that was the only dream I can ever remember having before the age of like 10. And that one, I mean, scarred me. I slept in my parents' room until they're split. And then after that.
Were you okay after that?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't feel like super cut off until later on, when there was a lot of turmoil in my family. And then it was the whole, you're going to have to pick one of us type situation.
Wow.
Maybe it was preparing you. I don't know.
I'm just
getting
saying.
you into that mindset, unfortunately, at such a young age.
That's the first dream I ever can recall. That's crazy.
I know we haven't got into any of the other stuff, but do you think, I'm just throwing out a question here, do you think that maybe that you have like a spirit guide, like from a family member from the past?
I honestly couldn't tell you. There's also, I mean, there's a lot of my family line that I don't have access to, right? So you know that like my dad's family, like there's nothing there. Like I don't know anybody from up there that would have any preference towards me, because I've never met most of them. Yeah. And then my mom's dad, we don't even know who that was. So it would, I guess, if there was, it would not be familial, because I don't even know who it would be at that point. I'm
just curious that, you know, someone's
a family friend that made
protecting,
passed away before you were born, or it's something.
It's funny because our last episode was on dreams.
Yes, it was. So that's very odd.
So
very, very odd.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's I find that because I always equate to dreaming, you know, anywhere near like astroplane or frequencies or spectrums. And so I think if someone is open to it, I think sometimes spirits or entities they speak to you that way. That's what I believe. So
I just think it's so interesting that like some people just don't have them. Like some people don't dream at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't for a long time after that either. Like I'm telling you, I didn't start having dreams that I could recall having until 10 after. So
jeez.
All right.
That's weird.
It is.
So,
at 4.
At
4 years old.
I was 4. And, well, to be fair, my first memory, I was 3. And so I do distinctly remember, like, one event from then. But, yeah, that dream is...
stuck with you.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
forever. And I'd never equated that to meaning anything until I had that whole discussion about dreams with my friends. Because, you know, a lot of people say that, like, they dream about stuff beforehand. And I was like, well, like, I did twice. And that was the first time it had ever happened.
Yeah, I was telling Steven on our last episode, I dreamt that his mom was going to pass 2 days before she passed. And then I dreamt 2 days before my dad was going to pass, he was going to pass. And it was just, I just thought it was kind of odd. I don't want to have any more dreams like that, but it's just me. But
I've never had anything like that. My mom did, though. My mom knew that her sister's son's dad's mom died because she had a dream that my cousin, who had died way before I ever remember, came to her and told her that his grandmother was going to die. So she called my mom the next morning to check on them. And my Aunt Anna was like, how did you know that she had just passed? And my mom was like, your son told me.
Wow. Did they get creeped out by that?
Yeah. My aunt went,
wow,
Mary, that was weird. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a lot of my family, though. They don't want to talk about none of it, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think it's tied in. I think it's tied into all your experiences. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
The first ever, like, paranormal situation, ghost-wise, I was pretty young, and you actually know about this one. I told you about this one.
Yeah.
I was probably...
Is it in Grand Prairie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Grand Prairie, Arlington. It was, like, literally right on...
The border?
The border,
Okay.
yeah. In this situation, I was probably 9 or 10, and my grandmother is Taiwanese. My grandfather, and some of my dad's siblings, because my dad is one of 6, went to Taiwan. My grandmother had a health scare, and she had said that she wanted to go see our family's mausoleum.
I remember
before
this. Yeah.
she, in case she passed. And so they went, and they were gone for about 2 weeks, and they came back, and my grandmother's health was fine. She was just fine. Nothing else had ever been brought up about worrying about her, being sickly or anything. And I remember I don't know why this even came up, because again, my family does not speak about paranormal anything. And we were at a family dinner. That's something my family did a lot, was big dinners. And my grandmother said that when she came back from Taiwan, that she had thought that she had had a cold. She'd been kind of jet laggy, really fatigued, slow to get up and get moving. And she had gone and taken a shower. And the way that my grandmother's bathroom was set up was when you walked in, the bathtub was on your left. There was a giant mirror right ahead of you with the sinks, and then the closet and the toilet room were to the right. But the mirror was so long that it cut through half of the bathtub. Like, if you got out of the bathtub near the faucet, you could see yourself in the mirror. And she had said that she had, and this had really freaked her out, and so I guess maybe that's why she was sharing with us, that she had stepped out of the bathtub, and she saw herself step out of her body, except it was her, but obviously much paler than her, with much longer hair. And as she stepped out of the bathtub, this version of her, she thought, stepped out of her at the same time and walked into the mirror, turned around, looked at her, and then disappeared, right? And everybody was like, yeah, okay, Grandma, like, maybe it's time to ease off of the flu medication, Right. And yeah, I never thought anything else of that. I never thought about it again. I wasn't super interested or even intrigued or paid much attention to anything paranormal wise at that young age, right?
Right.
It wasn't until 2 years later when my niece was born. And at that point, my grandparents had moved out of that house, and they had built a different home, also in Arlington, over near by Joe Pool Lake. And my dad was living in that house. And my dad took over the master bedroom, and we were watching my niece, who was an infant at the time. Oh, I say an infant. She wasn't a newborn, probably 2-3 months, maybe. Okay. So, babies don't have really good eyesight. They're not really doing much, right? They just kind of chill, And I never liked being upstairs in that house in general. I wasn't a kid that liked to be alone. And so I had been sleeping in my dad's room, and the baby woke up, and my dad said, I'm going to go get her and then bring her to you. Will you hang out with her while I go downstairs and make her a bottle? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Whatever. And so I was standing on the right side of my dad's bed with the baby, my little niece. And I'm kind of bouncing her, shushing her. She's being a little cranky. She's hungry. But she's starting to quiet down, right? And I'm bouncing her, and she's fine. And then I spin around, and she just starts screaming. I mean, not the I'm hungry, I'm tired type situation. I mean, she's wailing. And I'm like, I'm 12. What do I do about this, you know?
Right.
And so, again, I'm rocking her. I'm patting her back. She calms down. And I'm just kind of like meandering around the side of the room that I'm on. And she starts screaming again. And I mean, like, screaming. And I was like, is she in pain? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I calm her down and everything. And I was directly in line with the bathroom. And the door had been open. And I guess I was like, man, that's kind of weird. She does not.
So the baby's screaming for the second time.
Yeah, so the second time the baby is screaming, right? And that's when I realized, and just offhandedly, that I was like, okay, I'm directly in line with this bathroom door. The door's open. It's dark in there. The mirror is in that direction, right? And it just seems a little bit suspicious to me that every time this baby is facing this specific direction, she's popping off or anything, right? But, 2 incidences does not a haunting make, like it was just, I noticed it was being odd, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, right? So my dad comes back upstairs, gives her her bottle. I go and I close the bathroom door, and that's the last time I think of it, right? Because again, at this point in my life, I'm not terribly interested in any of this, right? I get my normal heebie-jeebies, but that's about it. I don't think very much in depth about things that may or may not be going on, right? It wasn't until some years later that my niece was 5, and my grandparents are now back in this house.
Same niece?
Same niece.
Okay.
I think it's Thanksgiving, and usually, as most families do, all the children were sent upstairs. That way all the adults could be adults, and all the kids were playing up and making a mess in a controlled environment. And we're up there, and I'm playing with my niece, and she was like, hey, I've got to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, well, the guest bathroom is, you know where it is, go. And so
that's upstairs with that same bathroom?
So the upstairs room had the master with the ensuite, and then 3 other bedrooms with a full bath. So I told her to go use the guest bathroom. And so she went to go, and she came back, and she goes, Aunt Caitlin, there's no toilet paper in there. And I was like, okay, well, I'll check the cabinets and see what's in there. I'm checking, there's nothing. And I was like, you can either go downstairs to go use the half bath. I was like, or just go to Grandma and Grandpa's room. I was like, just run in there and use the bathroom. And my niece goes, no, I don't want to go in there. And I was like, are you not allowed? At this point, I haven't been around that much.
Yeah, you didn't even think about that point.
I didn't even think about it. I was like, okay. I was like, why? And my niece is only 5. Okay. All of this talk about this woman that stepped out of my grandmother, that she wasn't born. She didn't exist, And I had never mentioned her about her being a weird baby. Like, I never thought about it. She looks at me and just full on, I don't like using Grandma and Grandpa's bathroom because the lady in the mirror watches me. And I was like, grab your toys, we're going downstairs. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
Yeah. So
how old were you at this point?
So
you were 12 when she was little.
So I would be about 15, 16. Yeah. And I just wasn't having any of it. I said, mm-mm.
So your grandmother was Taiwanese? I wonder if there's any lore.
I've got no idea. We had never spoken about it, right? And I had mentioned it to my dad after Mia had said this, right? And I didn't say anything to my grandmother. Like I said, we did not talk about it. But I did mention it to my dad. And my dad had wondered if it was one of my grandmother's ancestors that she had brought back with her, because they went to go see our family's mausoleum. Right. And my grandmother insisted that she thought it was her. So it was obviously somebody that looked similar enough to my grandmother that
I don't know if it's being going through mirrors. That's
Here, I was about to add on this. There's a theory that if you put two mirrors together, that it opens up a portal. That's the theory. Now I don't know. Was this mirror like at an L shape, where it was just one long mirror?
one long mirror.
So I was just kind of thinking that if your grandmother did go, when she went to Taiwanese to the mausoleum and she got an attachment, that this was its opportunity to step back into that world.
Yeah.
Because there's theories that mirrors are.
Was there a mirror on the other side of the bathroom in the bedroom in the dresser?
Well, so I guess that technically it would. Some people say that black screens or anything are considered. My dad did have a full computer set up across from that, so I guess that depends on what you believe to be a. It sounds like a gong. I like it. Bong!
Yeah.
So I mean, he had his black screens across from that. If you want to consider that.
Was your dad a gamer?
No, my dad was an internet chatter.
Oh. Professional internet chatter?
So
I'm gonna leave it at that.
he explores the internets.
Yeah, that man was making friends.
Okay.
Oh, so he's a hacker?
If you want to say that, okay. So
I don't know. All these friends were from China, so I don't know.
So I just find that odd because I mean, there's no scientific proof on mirrors and stuff, but
there's like energy coming off the computer screens, and then it's pointing right at the mirror. Probably enough frequency and power to go off that. I don't know. That's
Nobody ever said anything else about it, and I never mentioned it to anybody. So I guess maybe other people had that experience or an experience. But
so your grandmother was still alive when your niece. So did you ever talk to her about it, or
no? I did. I tried to limit my interactions with my grandmother as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
how old is your niece now?
My niece is now 17.
Does she remember anything?
Yeah, was this one my question?
So I don't talk to her that much either. She went with her mom to Hawaii for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
And by the time they came back, she just really kind of didn't have much interaction with my family.
So
She's been around recently, but I'm just some random lady to her. I don't really have any.
So I was kind of thinking this also was like when she said that she didn't want to go to your grandmother's restroom because the lady looks at her. She must have had other experiences in there prior to that.
Yeah, that seems like it because she it had to have happened at least one other time, right? For her to come to any sort of there is a lady in that room, So
as her as a baby, to see it and cry, was it making evil faces?
Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
the part that pisses me off there.
Or because how babies are, they're used to at that time she's probably used to you and your dad. And anybody else she's not used to, and it's probably scared.
Well, so also at that age, I don't know exactly what her sight range was. That would have been quite the feat for her to be able to see a mirror that's in a dark room at 2 months old. You know,
and for her to scream.
I mean, she was inconsolable. It was crazy. It scared me.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because that's that's terrifying.
I never thought about it, but I will say after my grandmother passed, so my grandmother, how long was it now? 2-3 years?
I think so, yeah.
After my grandmother passed, I was not very close to her. I had very little to do with her. But a week after she passed, I did have the strangest dream that I was in a tea house and everything was super foggy, super misty, and my grandmother was there. And there were lots of people about. I couldn't see them. They were all women. And I couldn't see them clearly, but except for two of them. My grandmother, who was pouring me a cup of tea, wasn't saying anything to me, but was just watching me and pouring me some tea. And a woman who I only saw her side profile in the back of her that looked like my grandmother, but with long, straight hair. And those are the only two people I could see in that whole house.
Was it like a ceremony, you think?
So it was very traditional tea ceremony type situation. I don't know anything about it. I've never deep dived into that aspect of my family or that culture or anything. My aunt said that there was some significance in her serving me tea.
Like passing something on to you?
Either an apology maybe or some sort of... I never thought much of it. I just mentioned it at like a follow-up service we had at her headstone. They had brought the headstone that they had made, and so we all met up and we were just talking about it. And my aunt was like, and she was serving you. And I was like, yes, because traditionally, I suppose she wouldn't have been serving me. As the matriarch of my family, I would have been serving her.
Right. But because of the severed connection that you guys had, maybe it was a way of her, you know,
my aunt thinks it was an apology.
Right.
But I don't care.
Did you take the tea?
No.
You woke up.
I woke up.
Okay.
But there was somebody that looked so, and here's the thing, my grandmother only ever looked old to me. I don't remember my grandmother being younger. But we have one photo that was hand painted of her when they got married, and my grandmother was this age in my dream. She was my grandmother. I knew it was my grandmother, but she was very young, and this woman was about the same age as her. Like everybody was younger. Like I just got that feeling, right, that they was all women. They were all there together. I couldn't see any of them clearly except for those two.
Did you, and I'm just asking questions, did you feel threatened? Did you feel accepted?
I wouldn't say accepted. It just felt calm. Like that was it. Like there wasn't any, like, even though I knew it was my grandmother, like I honestly couldn't care less. Like that's how bad our relationship was.
Right.
That in my dream I was like, okay, like I would like for this to be over.
Right. Okay. You're pouring tea. Let me go.
Right.
Okay.
But thinking about it now, I'm like, my grandmother said that it was her, but with long hair. And so I don't know if maybe that was my subconscious or whatever.
Do you think she was trying to apologize to you?
I have been told by multiple people that my grandmother had some regrets about our relationship, but I don't care. Yeah. So even if it was an apology, I've never speculated on it because it means nothing to me.
Got it.
So.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It is okay. Yes. You know, people are in your life for a reason, and people are not in your life for a reason. So, so maybe it was good that she wasn't connected with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I did do a very, very small amount of Googling after that about tea ceremonies and stuff. I didn't really see anything that stood out, but my aunt thought it was significant. But I didn't really see anything about it other than traditionally it's the younger ones serving the adults.
Is your grandmother originally from Taiwanese? Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe it was like a village thing. Maybe it was just like a village thing and maybe not national, but maybe it was just a village thing or something.
Yeah, no, my grandmother was in Taiwan, from Taiwan, born in Taiwan, all that situation. Met my grandfather who was in the military. He brought her over. Okay. So, yeah, so she immigrated here. Which my grandmother is a traditional Asian woman. So I was there from the get-go. There was no way that I was ever going to have much meaning to her. So
well, I'm glad she came here because they wouldn't have had your dad, you wouldn't have had you, and I never would have met you. So
right.
So
thanks, I guess. The trauma made me funny. It's
Andrew would have never found you.
You would have never met Andrew. Right?
I think he'd have been all right.
Oh, come on.
He'd have been all right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do. Okay, I'll say this real quick and then we'll go back to paranormal. But I remember before I got sick, this was your stance. I'm never going to get married. Yeah. I'm never going to date anybody. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
You said that.
I knew what I was about, okay?
Yeah. And then when I was paralyzed, I was in the hospital. You walk into I was happy to see you. You walk into my hospital room. She goes, I'm dating somebody.
I know it was the first thing. I was like, Robert, I have to tell you something.
I go, who are you? I said,
I know. I figured like I had to tell you while we were in a healthcare setting in case it sent you into shock.
That's true. That was very smart.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. So.
I was like, I should tell him when there's professionals around.
Yeah. I'm just glad you weren't messing with him. Like, anybody could have like he doesn't know things, so let's just say that you and Blair got divorced or something. What?
Yeah.
The boys are in college.
I know. And now look at me.
I know. I'm really happy for you.
I'm happy.
I'm happy for you.
It's so unexpected, but I guess that's when things happen, right? Unexpectedly.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
100%.
So after this event, what other type of paranormal or supernatural things that?
So pretty pretty much right around that same time, right? Like I was 12 with the whole mirror incident, right? My dad had then moved out of that house and into one of my grandparents' other rent houses. And this was a house off of Great Southwest Parkway.
Okay.
And it was just an unassuming house, right? Like I had briefly lived there with my mom because my mom had written it, and but remember, I don't sleep by myself at this point, right? Because I had that horrible dream, like I don't sleep alone type situation.
Right.
My dad ended up taking over this house because my grandparents wanted to move back into their main house, the house they built. They wanted to rent out, that sort of thing, and I had started trying to cut the cord a little, and I was going to sleep in my own room, right? I was being a big girl, okay? And it was my dad's weekend. My dad had me. And the layout of the house was not super odd, but you would walk in, and you were in the entryway, and there was a full bathroom to your left, and then a long hallway with the two bedrooms, and then the master bedroom. And then on your right, when you walked in the hallway, was like just a front living room, a formal dining situation, which would then wrap around to the kitchen and then to the living room. And this was the only like super weird thing that happened in this house, right? Because paranormal activity for me didn't really start kicking up until I moved to Grapevine when I was 14.
Okay.
But I had remembered that I had fallen asleep in the living room, and my dad had carried me to my bedroom, and I didn't like the dark. Okay, I was sleeping by myself, but that was a big step, so the lights had to stay on.
Right.
And I remember waking up after he had laid me down for an hour and a half maybe, and I was in the room. The door was open, the hallway light was on, but my bedroom light was off. And I immediately was like, hey, I don't like that. Like, I need to get up and turn my light on. And I was laying there, and I didn't have a ton of dreams, right? But I had never had a night terror or nightmares, which is what everybody told me this was in the end. And I was like, maybe so. I can't say that it wasn't, but this is very out of character for me. Because I'm laying in that bed, and I'm facing the hallway, and my door is maybe 45 degrees open, or I guess technically closed at that point. Like my door was pretty close to the wall, but not flat against the wall in order to stop the light coming in, right?
Right.
And my door started to close. And it was one of those things where I was like, is this happening? Like, there's no way. Like, what is going on, right? But I don't want to move, right? It's not like I can't move, but I'm like, hey, if this is happening, we're not calling any attention to the fact that we're awake.
Right.
And my door is so slowly, right? So first, I'm not sure this is really happening, right? Because I'm like bleary-eyed. I just woke up. And so I keep watching. And my door is just progressively getting closer to shut. And I remember thinking, out of nowhere, I was like, there's something behind my door. Like, that was the first thought that popped into my head. Something is behind my door. Yell, scream, start screaming. And so I start screaming for my dad because I don't want to get up and get any closer to it because I knew that something was behind my door. And if my door closed, I would be in the room with it. And very much I knew it wasn't it. Like, something is in my room. I start screaming and screaming and screaming. My dad bursts into my room. Door gets thrown open. Obviously, there's nothing behind the door, right? Because my door opens. And he's like, what? What's going on? What's going on? And I'm in tears, right? And I'm like, something was in my room. Do not ever put me in here with the lights off. I will not do it. Do not put me in here.
Yeah.
And it was weird, though, because my dad was like, no, you were dreaming. It was nothing. And I was like, okay, maybe, but like, I'm coming to sleep in your room, so let's go. But that room had been my room before when my mom had lived there, and nothing had ever happened. I had never had any issues with this house. But, I mean, just instinctively I knew, like, there was something behind my door. And it was such a small space, right? So I couldn't really rationalize it. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe this was a dream, right? It was terrifying for me, but maybe it was a night terror, you know? I let it go, okay? Right. As I did most things. Because at this time, again, I don't talk about it. I don't think about it. It's whatever.
You were 15?
At this point, it was 13.
13?
Because I was in 8th grade.
So you think you were going through some estrogen stuff?
Maybe. I honestly don't know. Puberty started for me right around 12, 13.
Right.
But never thought of it or anything. I never spent much time in that house after that because very quickly I had ended up moving. My dad had moved many years later. And I'm talking many, many, many years later when my little sister was born. Okay. And when my little sister was born, I was 17, 18. My dad, his new wife, and their baby, my little sister, and her son, Aus, who was 2, moved back into that house. And I helped them move in. I helped them get the nursery set up. Aus, which is my stepbrother, had my old bedroom. My little sister had the room right next to it, which was the nursery. And then my dad and his wife had the master. And I remember moving them in. It was a big to-do. We were all there doing it. And my dad and his wife moved out of that house 2 weeks later. And I was like, that was a lot of work that y'all had me doing.
Yeah.
Why are we moving out? And my dad's wife goes, because the house is haunted. And my dad goes, no, it's not. No, it's not.
But yet he was moving.
But he was moving. And I said, okay, so why are you moving? And my dad's wife goes, that house is haunted. I've been telling your dad every night that something is wrong. And your dad didn't believe me until something happened to him. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And at this point, I do believe, right? Because this is now, I've way past my experiences in Grapevine, which you know about. Right. But now I'm fully eyes wide open, like, tell me what's going on. And my dad had told me that his wife had been complaining that things were moving around the room at night. And again, it's things, right? Things are moving around the room at night. Like
keys?
No, like a little thing, like a shadow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like a little person.
Yeah, like a thing. No. And my dad thought that she was just tripping, right? Mm-hmm. And my dad, and here's the thing, like, that was really wrong of him to not listen to her and take her seriously. Yeah. Because the night that my dad had an experience, they were the next day packing up and leaving. Because my dad said that he went to sleep, everything was normal, and he woke up in the middle of the night to a little black thing sitting on his chest. Yep. And he couldn't move. He couldn't scream. He was like, I was stuck there and I couldn't breathe. He was like, and it was like the weight of the world was sitting on my chest. And he goes, and I just started, reciting my prayers in my head and over and over again until it finally left. And that next day, my dad started packing everything up and they left.
I've heard so many paranormal stories of something similar to this. Mm-hmm. Not that it was little, but something sitting on someone's chest and they're not able to speak or scream.
He just saw black, right?
Yeah, just a mask. And I told him, I was like, remember when I tried to tell you at 13 that there was something in my bedroom and you told me that I was just dreaming?
Yeah.
So,
but you never saw it, but you knew it was there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never saw it. I just knew something was behind my door.
The way it was shutting, would you say is like, I don't want to debunk it, but like, did the air conditioner turn on or anything?
It could have, and that's the thing. It could have, absolutely. That I'm very much at this time, again, I'm not a believer of anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But all I know is that for some reason, when I woke up, my first thought was that there was something in my room with me. That was I just knew it instinctively. Mm-hmm. And then when everybody told me it was a nightmare because there was nothing, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe it is. I never went back to that house though. So it wasn't like I could have ever seen if there was something else happening there. Mm-hmm. But that was my dad and his wife's experience there.
Is anybody living there now?
I think it's rented out currently. Actually, no, that's a lie. It's vacant right now because my dad's discussing buying it for my grandfather, actually. There's nobody there.
We should go there.
I could see if my grandfather would let us in.
Yeah, I think that would be a good
for us to get back together. Can I be so honest? Like, that actually just made me really nervous. Like, the thought of going in there, like, actually, like, low-key, like, that was stomach twisting a little when you just asked.
I think, yeah. I mean, if you're not comfortable doing it, I don't think we should do it, but I think it would be a good test for us.
It'd be interesting. I don't know that there's any truth to this, or maybe she was just being my loving, doting grandmother and trying to scare me.
Right.
But when we were moving out, I had mentioned to my grandmother, because the boys are moving all the heavy stuff, and I was sitting in the car, and she had been standing over at the foot of the car, and I had mentioned to her about they're moving because they thought it was haunted, right? I'm just trying to make a laugh about it, right? And my grandmother was like, "Yeah, no, this one is," and I was like,
Your same grandmother, the one that saw the lady? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I literally was like record scratch. I said, "What? What do you mean?" And she had said that and here's the thing, I should probably look it up. I should see if there's any validity to this. I never pursued it at all. But my grandmother told me that somebody had died in that backyard.
Yeah. We could look up the tax
we
info.
should. Because she had specifically said that it was a girl and she had killed herself.
How did she know it?
I don't know. I guess maybe when they bought it.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know if those things have to be disclosed.
A little girl, or was it like
no, a teenager?
Huh.
So you are 13 at this time, right?
Yeah, she had said that she had thought that the girl had hung herself.
So, yeah, here's the way I think outside. It's just like with your estrogen and then whatever, if this potentially had a person that passed at the similar age, that there's like a tether, a kind of connection. And, I don't know. I mean,
Is your room close to because the way I'm seeing it, it kind of looks like, or it's probably bigger, but I'm seeing it as like a duplex or something.
It was not huge, but I guess it would probably be about that general size. Like
was your room and their room, or was any of the rooms close to the backyard?
The master bedroom.
And I almost want to think about where the power from the street comes in. That and where the fuse boxes are at.
I can get the address for you. You can check it out.
Okay. I'd like to. So
yeah, and then I remember my grandmother said that, and I said, "Ooh, okay, another thing we're never gonna talk about again." And then I didn't, because I wasn't gonna be there. I had nothing to do with that house.
You ever asked your dad about this? Yeah.
No, well, so I say no, but I did mention to it briefly, because when he told me that he wanted to buy that house, and I waited until my little sister, because she just turned 10, right? I waited until she left the room, and I said, "You really want to do that again?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I mean, you know that there's something going on with that house." And my dad goes, "I don't know what you mean." I don't know, but my little sister,
he had something sit on him, and he's still denying it.
Here's the thing, but my little sister is about that age, though, so I would hate for her to go there and.
No.
It'd almost be another tether.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
And who knows, that it could do a lot more than just sit on your chest the next time around.
And here's the thing, that's the first time that I had ever heard my dad say anything about a paranormal situation happening with him ever.
Yeah.
And it's always, for some freaking reason, it's always the male. It's always the old school husband that doesn't believe in it. You can name off many movies or stories, Amityville Horror, all that stuff, and it's like no, you're going crazy. Yeah. It's always
well, he told me, the wife, and I was shook. I said, "Sat on your chest, man. I'd have left that night. I'd have left as soon as I could move. I'd be like, hey, wake up, we're leaving. Grab the baby, let's go."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it communicated with him.
I don't know. Maybe
because he could have just told you what he saw, but to really the next day.
Yeah, they were packing up,
and then moving out. Like it did something more than just
because I think it was curious of you, but I think it was attracted to your dad or her wife or her kids.
Could have been.
So that's what I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the box and.
It was strange.
That's the thing. It felt like it was like almost in the process of trying to possess him.
Yeah.
And
or maybe bring him down, or just make him not sleep and be sleep deprived and be kind of weakened a little bit.
Yeah, starting to it was on that process of starting to
watch too many movies.
Same.
Still like to think.
Yeah,
almost like movie but there's reasons behind it.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah, but you also up until this point though, again, everything that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it didn't. Like, none of that's real. Like, we're not going to talk about it, right? It really wasn't until I was 14, 15 that I ever gained any sort of interest in any of it.
How do you feel about yourself on encountering something like this again? How confident are you?
The thing in that specific house, or just in general?
Just in general.
Like, instinctively, whatever I experience, whether or not, anybody believes me or not, right? It wasn't good, right? Like, I've had now, as an adult who is interested in these things, I've had experiences, things that I can't explain that don't feel like ugly. Mm-hmm. Whatever I felt instinctively terrified me. And, like, I don't know. Like, whatever's there is like the boogeyman for me. Like, it's.
I think, it's not fair for me to ask you that, because number one, you were living there. Mm-hmm. So you rested, you bathed, you ate, you nursed yourself there. And so that's your sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And if you feel threatened in your sanctuary, just what else can you do?
Right.
And if we were going to like Goatman's Bridge, we leave and that's it. Mm-hmm. So there, I can understand that from your, because I know, like, whenever I got out of therapy and I was barely walking again, came back to work, I got asked by probably like 7 or 8 people to do paranormal investigations with, and I told them, I said, man, I don't think I could do you any. I think I'd do you more harm. Yeah. Because I don't think I was strong enough, like physically and mentally, spiritually to do anything. Mm-hmm. So I think now, I'm more confident that I could walk into something like that and then, be able to not have it attached to me and walk out. But, anybody can say that and then have this situation, like this location, and then feel different.
Well, so you and I, when I had first started talking to you about some of my paranormal experiences, right? Uh-huh. You and I had kind of gleaned that these things had started happening right around a really tumultuous time in my life where my parents were arguing. It was really ugly. I was really sad all the time. And that's when you had told me that, you think that your walls are up when you're angry and you're sad all the time, but they're really down, and it's only when you're happy and, not, or you're in a good headspace that there is that wall that protects you for some things. I'm not the same person that I was during that time. I'm much happier now. I've got more, tools in my arsenal. At the time I was a very sad and, hurting little girl, Yeah. And it was still like that when I had my experiences in Grapevine too. And so I think I could go back to those two places, and instinctively it makes me scared. Like there's like actual fear there, right, for me. Yeah. But I don't think it would have the same effect now that I'm not that person, right? Like I'm not, like, I have walls, Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
It'd probably be liberating too, to go there and whatever is there would obviously recognize you.
Right, you would think, maybe.
Yeah. And probably know that you're stronger to feel it. So, that's something to...
Steven's very hesitant on doing paranormal stuff because we've had some experience with the boys, and there's been times when because we have a camera in there, watch them sleep. Yeah. And at the old apartment, we'd see orbs a lot. Yeah, we see the orbs a lot, and so we would go in there and trying to ask it to leave, not ask, but kind of demand it to leave and stuff like that. So I know when we went like last year to go interview the Guillain-Barré Paranormal, we went.
What's the first thing I fucking see? Shadow.
So we went to go interview them in Cleburne.
Okay.
And we just wanted to go interview them, have dinner with them and interview them while we're eating dinner. And they were doing an investigation that night. And they said, "Hey, why don't you come over?" And I looked at Steve and I go, "Are you okay to do this?"
I was going to quickly say no. It's just, but they were like, but it's like right behind the restaurant. I go, "What? Damn it!"
Right. I mean,
it's already here. So
handed to you on a silver platter.
Yeah, literally.
So we walk in and it's an old house. It's like dates back to the Civil War. And like some of the flooring is not straight.
No, it felt like you were leaning more right, and then when you were like, okay, I'm balanced now, I get, and then you go to another room and it's left.
Yeah,
and you're all like, God dang it!
So it was right next to a library,
old library
that had original Civil War uniform still intact.
Oh, wow.
And so we went upstairs, and as soon as we go upstairs, Steven sees, like, there's a room off the stairway, and it's like, the lights was off, but you could see the window, and Steven said he saw someone walk by. He goes, Robert, there's someone in that room. And I ran over there,
and then that lady that was giving tours, she's like, "Oh, so you're drawn to this room?" I go, "Don't say that, please don't."
Yeah, please.
She was like, "Yeah, there's something. They're like, there's something real nasty in this room that's racist," and I'm like,
I was literally about to be like, "That's Civil War juju. I don't like it."
Yeah. So
I'm a little too ethnically ambiguous to be in this room with these racist ghosts.
Yeah. No.
We were telling, like, it was Jennifer Reuter,
gin and tonic.
Yeah, and I told her, I said, I can say something in Spanish.
Oh no!
So she was saying,
"Oh no!"
I was like, "Hola puto, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh shit!"
She was calling it out.
It's just trying to get.
But like, we left. We left. Okay, everything was okay, and they were doing a live feed on Facebook.
Yeah,
and they had like an alarm system that the owner had cut off.
Yeah,
and then went off while they were doing an investigation.
That's crazy.
And then they heard like whistling, right?
Whistling. Didn't they say they kept hearing like something going, the top where the stairs were at?
Yeah.
That something was like, it kept like walking down, but running back or something like that. I can't remember what they were saying.
Yeah, it was right next to, I think, HVAC unit too, like a split unit. And it was right above. So I could see the energy and probably whatever being harnessed.
You can tell, even without even you knowing the history, if you were to walk in that house, you would feel like it's thick, like the air is kind of like, like it just, man, it feels this is an old house.
But I'll say this, if you want to, I mean, I don't want to pressure or nothing like that. If you're able to get us access to that house, it'd be.
Yeah, let me find out. I'm into it. We can try.
Yeah. Who all think you would think would go?
Oh, none of my people, man.
None of your people? Andrew?
No.
Andrew, really?
I don't think so.
You told him about this, though?
No, I don't think I've ever actually told him about it.
Really?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's just not something that's ever come up.
What about Candace?
I think Candace would come.
So it'd be me and you, Candace? I don't know about Stephen when it goes.
I'll go if B-Town goes.
Oh, our friend Brian? Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I think it'd be a good thing to go. So I mean,
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. We get some baseline readings before we go in, because I got some cameras, man, I haven't even used yet.
I love hearing like other people's ghost stories and stuff like that, and their experiences, because I love how interesting and how diverse the way we all perceive things is. Because like you saying that you saw something, right? I have never had a visual experience.
It's always something that you don't really want to, because at that. You heard it from Robert. I'm real hesitant when it comes to that, because I've dealt with grief, and I've lost some people, and I know I have to the spiritual world. I have open wounds or scars, scabs, and I feel like those are targets. So before we were entering the house, I was just I was praying to whatever. Like I was mostly praying to my mom. I was like, Mom, if you're listening, if you're looking at me, I'm about to go into something that's probably not really a good place. Yeah. If you can just be with me and Uncle Robert. I kept saying that. Be with me and Uncle Robert. I know you're probably busy. Whatever you're doing, just be with me for the period that we're here. Yeah. And then I walked in, and then I was like, okay, all right. I feel good. Yeah. And I think whatever that shadow was looking at me, probably saw my mom or something. Yeah.
And said, you know what, we're going to let that one go. We're not going to mess with that.
She was like, hey, brah. You racist prick, get over there. Yeah. So she was probably doing that. And
I do some visualizations before I go and I do anything, like very much like like psychologically building my own walls and all that kind of stuff.
That's natural. That's natural.
But yeah, no, it's always been auditory for me. Things around me move, or I hear things. I've never been able to visually see anything happen.
I've seen... When I was at my friend Matt's house, his grandmother had passed away that summer, and then we got there in the winter, and I saw her walk from her room where she passed to the kitchen. I was in the living room. I saw the back of her elbow, the back of her head. It was silver. Yeah. And she's wearing one of these old aprons that like a grandmother would do, like baking. Yeah. And she walked from her room to the kitchen, and I had my friend's dog with me. and both of our heads turned at the same time. And I saw her, and I got up, he jumped off and he ran behind the TV. I walked into the kitchen and all the cabinets were open.
That's crazy.
And so I ran to the back room where Steven and my friend was at, and I go, I think I saw your grandma. She goes, where was she at? I go, she's going to the kitchen. She goes, she's looking for some tea.
Should save everybody the hassle. Just keep it on the counter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Robert Jesse Dominguez with Bigfoot Club Podcast. You're listening to part 1 to Caitlin Gonzales' paranormal stories. If you're one of those people who've listened to us for the very first time, thank you very much. And any of the longtime listeners, thank you as well. But if you're one of those listeners who hasn't hit the subscribe or follow button, please do that now. It really, really helps us out a lot. Please go to our social media at Bigfoot Club, the number 1. We're on TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram. If you have any paranormal stories or if you want to comment about the podcast, please send us an email at bigfootclub1@gmail.com. And I wanted to say good night and good luck.